Hey Janet, so finally have some time to go over your videos I've been posting. So we'll just start out with this one and then we'll work back to the previous post. So just starting out with the first video, what I liked in this one is this one should be the pause one. Yeah, you did a nice good pause, everything was motionless and then came up. In your bottom position also, your feet are flat on the ground, looks like the knees are out in line with the toes. Looking at the torso, we got a good torso angle going here. Back is straight, head is neutral. So all those look good. The only thing I noticed in all your squat videos is the position where you grip the bar in the elbows position. Um, we'll go over that a little bit more with some other videos, but basically, if it's something you can maintain regardless of the weight, then that's fine because there are some people that can do that. But if it does start to deteriorate as the weight gets more and your elbows start shooting up and the bar starts rolling up your neck, then that's something we need to change and maybe change the way you grip the bar and point the elbows down more so that the elbows are more in line with the torso. Going to the next video is the feet up bench. It all look fine on the feet up bench. You're touching in a good position, not arching at all, not using leg drive. Um, the only difference you can do here, if you want and if it fits, is you can slide your bench to the right more and just put your whole body on this top part rather than being over this gap. Not really a big deal, but if this bothers your back or anything like that, then you can just move the bench to the right and then slide yourself up onto here. But everything from this angle for feet up bench looks great. Next video is your sumo deadlift. So for sumo, everything looked pretty solid too. Stance looks pretty good where your shin is pretty much vertical. It's angled forward a little bit, but that's fine. Pretty much vertical from this angle, and you could even try going a little bit further out if you wanted to over time. Knees are out in line with the toes, which is good, keeps us safe. Hips are higher than the knees, and the shoulders are higher than the hips. Back is straight, and just like your pause squat, you're doing a good pause on the deadlift, nice and low, and actually holding it. Everything's motionless and then exploding up. The only thing yet you might have to change eventually with your sumo, with your deadlift in general, and maybe you do, I just haven't seen enough videos, is use a double overhand grip. So eventually, with enough weight, that grip's not going to hold, and especially you're not using any chalk, so then either you have to switch to a mixed grip or you have to switch to the hook grip, putting the thumb underneath. And obviously, if your gym does allow chalk, then it'd be beneficial to chalk up so you don't lose your grip on any of these sets. And we got another squat video here. I think this is just a regular competition squat. So same thing as the pause squat. Everything looks good as far as feet are flat on the ground, knees are staying out, depth looks good, back is straight. The only thing we might have to change is this elbow position and the way that you're gripping the bar up and over. And it seems like that the bar is going to be high, and we might be able to actually get the bar lower by changing your grip. Uh, see what we got on here. I think this is the competition bench one. Um, most of the stuff is similar to the feet up bench, where you're in a pretty good position. The only thing we can maybe work on is that you're currently using a narrow grip, and we can work on slowly widening this grip out over time. But even with your narrow grip, what some people would do as a close grip bench movement, your technique is good, and especially in the bottom position. If I pause it right here, so in the bottom position, you want the bar over your wrist and the wrist over your elbow, and the form is pretty vertical, so that's a good position. Feet are flat on the ground, butts down, shoulders down, head looks to be down. So this is a good position for this narrow grip. What we just want to do is try and widen this grip over time, because right now it's going to rely a lot on your triceps, and with the wider grip we'll get a little bit more of the pecs in there, shorten the range of motion, and it'll be easier to press back over towards your shoulder joint, because right now you kind of push straight up. maybe it goes back a little bit. What we want to do is maybe widen this grip, maybe starting, let's say next week, 1 inch on this hand and 1 inch on that hand, and stick with that grip for a couple sessions and see how it feels, see if anything hurts, see if it feels strong, and then maybe go from there, moving it out a little bit more. Uh, that way we get that shorter range motion, more pecs, and then we can get that bar path where you're touching here on the lower pecs and then pressing up towards your shoulder joint and locking out. Let's go to the next video. And this one's just your regular deadlift. Again, everything looked good as far as starting position. Back is straight, head is neutral, arms are straight. The one thing you might have to just change eventually is using chalk and then switching to mixed grip or hook grip. Just going over the squat some more, I pulled up the IPF page just so you can see as a comparison. Some of the world record squats that went down in each weight class. So here you can see for Amanda Lawrence, you can see she's got very narrow grip. Arms are pretty much pointed straight down where the elbows are pointed down into the ground. And she tries to keep them down the whole time. So in that bottom position here, her arms and her torso are pretty much the same angle. And then she's maintaining that as much as she can the whole time. Go to our next one. Here we got Isabella in the 72s. She has her elbows up a little bit more, but still fairly pointed down, close. And then here in the bottom position, pretty close to the same angle as her torso. And then she drives it down as much as she can. Got another one here from the 63s. Again, you can see how narrow the grip is. The low bar position, tries to keep the elbows down. So here in the bottom position, again, you see it's very similar to her torso angle, trying to drive it down as much as you can. And same thing here for the 57s. She has a little bit more of a style like Isabella, where the elbows are pointed a little bit more up and they're like really far behind the body. But again, narrow grip, trying to point them down as much as you can. And in the bottom position, pretty much same angle as the torso, and then really trying to drive it down and keep the chest up and lock it out. So that might be something you have to work on, is maybe first move your grip out a little bit to be able to get the bar lower on your back and be able to point the elbows down some more and keep the back straight and tight. And then from there, based on how it feels, you might eventually be able to bring the grip back in. And the other thing you can kind of see is with a lot of these girls, they have like almost the elbows behind the back, trying to bring the elbows together behind the back, and that's going to help get the upper back tight. So that might be something to work on for squat. For bench, like I said, is like maybe work on moving grip out 1 inch on each hand and doing that for a few sessions and seeing how it feels. And then for deadlift, maybe eventually having to go to the mixed grip or the hook grip. For the previous videos, let's see what we have here. So here, if you can get the bar a little bit lower and then the elbows pointed, doesn't have to be straight down, but maybe something between. Maybe if we get down to here, then that would be a better position. So instead of it being pointed here away from the torso, then we'd be pointing here in line with the torso. And that way the bar will also be lower and maintain lower, rather than here the elbows are up and kind of pushing the bar up your neck and towards your head. So with the lighter weight, you're able to maintain the position, but it's possible with the max weights that it's going to push you out of position. Hold on, go back to this one. So actually for like a high bar, this would actually be a pretty good position because it's on the traps. Your grip is close, your elbows are pointed down, forearms are straight, wrists are straight. So that actually be a good high bar position. And if you can do a similar thing but down here, then you would have a good low bar position. So instead of bringing the elbows up at that last minute, you would just keep them a little bit lower where they were and really just wedge yourself in there, keeping everything tight. And you can't really see, but the bar would be a little bit lower and you wouldn't have the little tipping forward. Bench, as you mentioned, the only really thing to work on now is slightly wider grip. Let me see what else you had in here. Oh, sorry, wrong email, this one. For the rear delts, there's different things you can try. One of the things would be if you want to just feel more tension in it, then you can do a like a cable rear delts. And that cable will be constantly pulling on it. So if we do like rear delt raises on Google, let's see if a cable version comes up. So I usually like doing dumbbells just because it's easy. Every gym has like the light dumbbells. If you go on vacation or a hotel or something like that, will have light dumbbells. Um, but there's also different ways you can do it with the dumbbells. So you can do it with the hands kind of pointing into each other. You can also do it with the pinkies pointing out, or you can also do it with the pinkies pointing in. But let me see if I can find. So this one's with the hands pointing in, but also you can rotate it to where your pinkies are pointing out to the sides and your thumbs are pointing each other, or you can do it the other way where the pinkies are pointing to each other and the thumbs out to the side, and see if you feel any difference with those positions, and maybe you'll feel the rear delts more in one of those positions. And then here's the other ways. If you just do a cable, again, you can do the cable with the hands pointing in, and that tension from the cable is going to be constantly pulling on those rear delts, and you might feel it more. Whereas with the dumbbells, you're like relaxing in the bottom position. If you don't have access to a cable, you can also just try tying a band to a rack or something like that, and then using the band instead. Because as you pull the band more, you're going to get more tension pulling back against you. You can do both if you want at the same time, but it might be easier just to set up one and just focus on feeling it on one side, and then taking 10-second break and then doing the other side. So that might help you with the rear delts. If you have any other questions about the squat, bench, and deadlift that I went over, let me know, and I hope this video helps you out. Oh, sorry, one more thing. Yeah, it'd be better to put more rest in between day 3 and 4, since those are the more important days, and then you can do day 1 and 2 back to back if you want, because those are the lighter days, usually higher rep movements, and if you're a little bit more fatigued on those days, then it's not as big of a deal. All right, hope that helps.